All right, we're all constantly on the lookout for the next big thing, right? The next big innovation in tech. But what if the single most powerful tool for peak performance isn't something out there, but something inside you? Today, we're diving into this idea of your inner ecosystem and how to tap into it to unlock your absolute best. So let's just get right to the core argument of the source material. It's a really bold claim. It says, the biggest innovation is to identify your true passion. I know. When you first hear that, it might sound a little, well, a little soft, right? Like something you'd see on a motivational poster. But here's the twist. The argument is that this isn't some fluffy, feel-good idea. It's a hard, strategic truth. Think about it this way. Before you can innovate out there in the world, you first have to innovate within yourself. And that simple but powerful idea really sets the stage for everything else we're going to talk about. Okay, so this brings us to our first section, a new kind of innovation. We're moving from external tech to the internal ecosystem. Basically, we're shifting our focus from the shiny objects out there to the powerful engine inside each of us. So, how do we even begin to define the core of this internal engine? And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at how true passion is defined here. It's not just about a hobby or something you get excited about on the weekend. No, it's framed as the actual source code of excellence. It's that sweet spot, that intersection where your identity, your energy, your purpose, and the contribution you make to the world all come together. It's a much deeper concept. So if that's what true passion is, how does it actually give you an edge in the real world? Well, that leads us right into our next section, passion, the strategic multiplier. We're going to look at exactly why passion is considered the highest leverage variable in human productivity. And this table just lays it out so clearly. It's a SWOT analysis of working with passion versus without it. Look at the difference. With passion, your strength is this incredible well of high energy and clarity. Your big opportunity, real innovation. But without it, your only strength is depending on external things, and you're just stuck in survival mode. The biggest threat is getting trapped in mediocrity. So you see, passion isn't just a nice to have. It's a game-changing strategic multiplier. And this connects directly to a fascinating take on the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. The argument here is that a whopping 80% of all meaningful impact in the world is created by just 20% of the people, specifically the 20% who are working from a place of true passion. That really forces you to ask yourself, which group am I in? Because this shows passion isn't just a feeling. It's the critical variable for getting big things done. Okay, that's all well and good, but what if you're thinking, passion isn't my starting point? I'm just trying to pay the bills, right? Well, the good news is there's a playbook for that exact situation. So let's shift gears from the why to the how and look at some really actionable frameworks. This is what's called the reverse engineering model, and it's super relevant for a lot of us, especially if you're early in your career or just feeling the financial pressure. The path isn't always follow your passion from day one. Instead, you start with discipline. You just show up and do the work. That discipline eventually builds competence. You get good at something. That competence, in turn, gives you clarity. You start to see what you're good at, what you enjoy, and what actually matters. And it's only then, from that foundation of clarity, that true passion can really start to emerge. So, if finding your passion is so incredibly important, why do so many of us struggle with it? Well, let's do a little root cause analysis. We're going to use a technique called the 5 whys to really drill down and find out what's at the core of this problem. So first question, why don't people find their passion? The first layer is pretty obvious, actually, because they're too busy following trends and have a massive fear of missing out. FOMO. We're constantly looking outward at what everyone else is doing instead of looking inward. Okay, but why do we do that? Why do we look outward? Well, it's because of a fundamental lack of self-awareness. We don't have a strong internal compass to guide us, so we just end up relying on the external maps that society or trends or our friends hand us. And why the lack of self-awareness? As we dig deeper, it often boils down to something really simple. Most of us have no structured process for reflection. We just don't have a system for it. We're taught to keep moving, keep hustling, but we rarely stop to ask ourselves the really important questions. And that brings us to the final why, the very root of the problem. It's a lack of inner system training. Think about it. We get all this training for external world skills, but almost none for how to manage ourselves. So the ultimate root problem is a failure of self-leadership. And that idea of self-leadership brings us perfectly to the mastery level. This isn't just about finding your passion anymore. It's about becoming an architect, actively designing a whole life system around it, and integrating it with your skills, your systems, and your overall strategy. And here it is, the core formula for making it all work. Passion is the fuel, yeah, but notice it's a multiplier, not just an addition. It's not a standalone solution. You have to combine that passion with hard-earned skills, with effective systems, and with a clear strategy. Only then do you get peak performance. If any one of those pieces is missing, the whole thing is incomplete. The source material lays out this awesome macro process for mastery. It's 4 stages. First, you discover an interest. Then you develop the skills around it. You get good. Next, you deploy those skills in the real world to get feedback and make an impact. And finally, you dominate, not in an aggressive way, but by becoming a true authority and a source of innovation in your field. So what's the engine that powers that whole framework? It's this microcycle, a constant feedback loop. It's simple, but so powerful. You take action, then you reflect on what happened, you make an improvement based on that reflection, and then you repeat the whole process. This is how you build a passion ecosystem that doesn't just exist, but actually evolves and gets stronger over time. All right, to bring this all home, let's connect these very modern, strategic ideas to some timeless wisdom. Because honestly, these concepts aren't new at all. They're profound truths that have been around for ages. This ancient quote from the Bhagavad Gita just says it all, doesn't it? Better to perform one's own duty imperfectly than another's perfectly. I mean, that is the ultimate distillation of a passion-driven life. It's about finding your own path, your duty, and walking it, even if you stumble, because that's infinitely better than flawlessly walking a path that was never meant for you. So let's close out with a really powerful metaphor to lock this all in. I want you to think of your passion as a river. It's this powerful, natural force flowing deep inside you. It's a current that has its own energy, its own momentum. But of course, raw energy isn't enough, right? A river without direction is just a flood. It's chaos, spreading everywhere and achieving nothing. Your strategy, that's what carves the riverbed. It gives that powerful current a clear direction, guiding it toward a meaningful destination instead of just letting it all dissipate. And finally, your discipline. That is the steady, constant flow of the water itself. It's the daily practice, the consistency that keeps the river moving forward, allowing it to wear down any obstacle in its path, navigate the tough spots, and over time, gain enough power to shape the entire landscape around it. So the final big takeaway is this powerful call to action. Don't just find your passion like it's some lost set of keys. Instead, you need to architect it. You need to align it with everything you've got and execute it with strategic precision. Because that is the real innovation. That's what creates legends.